All right, y'all. You know what time it is? It's time for another Wednesday film room session. We are getting in the lab with Felix Anudike-Uzomah, and this is a player that the Chiefs do really like in terms of what they offer from a size and a length perspective. He's got those 33 plus inch arms as we see right here. He's 6'3". He has room to put on a little bit more weight. He did not run any of his athletic scores for the combine. It appears he might not be healthy. He chose not to do the 40 at his pro day. He did run a 3 cone, which was near and under 7 seconds, which is really good for a defensive end. So let's talk about it. Again, this is your Film Room Wednesday here on RGR Football. My name is Daniel Harms. We are going to get into Felix right now because one of the big reasons that I'm a big fan of this guy is that he is going to show speed to power on a regular basis. Okay, he's got really good get off that first step. He locates those arms on the inside of the tackle, and you can see he does lower his head a little bit at times, which can get him in trouble with pass rush and in the run defense with a little bit of locating the football. That does show up on tape more than once and more than you'd like to see it. But what I really like about him, again, is that get off to speed to power, all of those things being able to generate power into a tackle. And then you have some nice little twists that he brings to the position where this is just it's just a fun little quirk that I found from him. He's not always the best at cornering or bending the edge, but something you notice here, he's going to grab the left arm of this left tackle right here as he gets into his chest, and he's going to let himself kind of just be brought back to the play with that tackle, turning him a little bit. It's a nice little quirk. It's a neat little trick. Whoa, that's interesting. It's a neat little trick that he has here to help himself get down the line a little bit quicker. I do apologize for the video concerns. I'm having problems trying to figure out what is going on with my VLC media player, but we'll figure it all out getting into it. So the run defense, he does a really good job of extending, finding that football, and then disengaging. When we talk about extending and disengaging, what we really want to see is you see Felix down here at the bottom of your offensive line. The Wildcats run a lot of this 3-4 defense where you have 3 defensive linemen down and then 4 linebackers or 3 linebackers or 3-3-5, whatever you want to call what they end up running up. But a lot of 3-man fronts. So what does that mean for Felix? That means a lot of times he's lined up over top of the defense or on top of the offensive tackle, and it makes his pass rush plan and his pass rush angles a little bit different. But in the run defense here, he does use all of that well. He does establish leverage. He's able to get inside the tackle and then get moving down the line. You see, set an edge, get his arms inside the tackle. He's moving left to right and trying to figure out where he's going to line up as Kansas is moving things around here. But you really like the eyes to the edge here. Look, there he is. He's peeking inside, looking for that running back, stops, cuts back inside, helps make the tackle there. So everything from a run perspective, the run defense, the two things that he does well are this here, setting that edge, extending his arms using those 33-inch twigs, not twigs because they're muscular, but you know what I mean, those 33-inch sticks, those tree trunks, whatever you want to call them, and getting out there, setting that edge. The second thing that he does well is the penetration aspect of playing run defense. This does tend to sometimes get you out of position in your run fits. If you pick the wrong gap to go up into, you can create a cutback lane for the running back, or if you do it too late, they can find a way to get around you. But again, here comes across the face of that offensive tackle, puts his shoulder into the chest, and we have him going across the grain or with the grain on this outside zone play. So he's able to get inside here, use all of this space, and really get downhill in a quick manner. Helps draw the attention there from the offensive lineman. It helps get the tackle for loss on the play. He needs to do a better job of wrapping up and extending, all of his arms to doing that. But that's the one thing in his tape that I wasn't hugely impressed with the in terms of the tackling consistency. He's a very balls to the wall kind of player, and he can do that. But when we come to the run defense aspect, sometimes you're going to deal with a little bit more double teams. His double team anchor isn't the best. This is a much better play from him on the outside edge here between the tight end and the tackle. He gets his shoulder in there wedged a little bit. He has his anchor a little bit better. This was the Big 12 championship game against TCU, which they should have won. I still think that they did win that football game, but we'll see. Obviously, we don't have to see. We watched that, so I'm just talking in circles around that. But what I mean by his anchor is a lot of times you'll see either tight ends or help defenders, or excuse me, help offensive linemen get into his side hip here, and they just easily push him out of the way. He doesn't have, as Ryan likes to call it, sand in the pants to take on that double team and really get in there, disrupt it, and split the double team. Again, this was a much better job on his part to get inside there and get his hips underneath him and extend into the middle of that double team. So I want to see this on a more constant basis, because you see he did force the running back outside, and that's really what you want to try and get to doing, is force him off of his run path and make things happen for your defense. So getting more of that consistent power in that upper hand, you're putting on a little bit more weight, getting some more sand in the pants so we can take on the double teams is really going to be helpful at the next level. You're going to see doubles all over the place. But one thing that he struggled with this last year was seeing extra attention from offensive lines. He was so disruptive in 2021 that offensive lines were really kind of sending blockers his way, whether it was tight ends, whether it was pulling guys. You're going to see a couple of plays here where he is schemed attention from the offensive line, whether it's, again, here, they bring a tight end over, then they pull a man. Here, they're just going to bring two guys to block him up at the top. Attention all on him on pass rush down. So they want to make it so he's not beating them all the time. And when you do that, it creates, a little bit of frustration for the defensive player. Sometimes, you want to get those one-on-ones and you want to scheme around the offensive line itself, because when you run this three-front defensive line with Felix having to be shaded a little bit more towards the inside of this tackle on that inside shoulder, it makes his rush path a little bit different, and you can't really utilize all the strengths that you were using beforehand to do it. So it can frustrate him, but I think at the same time, seeing that he was able to get through all of that and get to his sacks, still had eight and a half sacks down. It was down from 11 last year, I believe, but he still was able to get those sacks continuously, work the effort, work the arms, work the hands, get everything into that motion. And then we get to see him come through and actually get some of those one-on-ones. And you're going to see here that they run basically 4 down linemen this time. And Felix is going to get a one-on-one on the right-hand side, and he's going to be able to work through the rep here and actually get really good pressure. He's got a really nice tool bag of pass rush moves, a much more nuanced pass rusher than I expected to find from the position. A really nice job here of extending and then ripping through. So he's going to wait a second, wait for that extension, kind of bait the tackle into thinking he's going to put his arms into him, and instead he's going to slide off, rip through, and get a quarterback hit. So these are all things, again, speeding up the process will definitely help. But at the end of the day, this is a very seamless transition. Again, you're going to see him on the right part of this offensive line. He's still more of a line right over the tackle, and he's going to widen his route a little bit here. And that's what's going to make this tackle think that he's coming in with power. He just slides right off there and then rips underneath and gets to the quarterback. Like I said, much bigger tool bag than I expected. He's got the length. He has the get off. He has some dip and bend to his game as well. It's not like a ton. He's got more than a guy like Derek Hall, for example. And here he's running off the edge again, creating some problems. This is one that I didn't expect to see on his tape either. It is the vaunted ghost move. So what that ghost move is where you're basically disappearing from the tackle. Okay, so he just shimmies himself out of the way here. Let me see if I can get a better, not pixelated screen right there, where you dip everything under him. You don't touch him. You don't do anything. You dip out of the way of the hands of the tackle to get underneath and go around. So the one area that I'd like to see from this improve is the cornering. So you have that get off. He times it really well with the hands. Okay, times it right there, really perfectly timed, so he can dip his shoulders out of the way. But you see the angle here. It's not great because he's upfield. He's essentially working upfield with his ghost move. Or you want to see the ghost move kind of reach around here to get around to the quarterback, so you can just come down the line and then try and get a sack at least. So it's more of what I wanted to see from him. But again, you don't have the best, bendiest athletes all the time doing this. But again, really good get off. He's a really good athlete as well, and I think that all shows up on his tape. But we've seen these last two clips here, where he's showing a little bit of manipulation. And one area that he was talking about during this process is setting up moves for later in the game. And he does this well. He'll attack inside, and then he'll come outside with a play like this, where he bends his route path, he rush pass to the outside, and then he gets inside there for the Hubie hit. I would like to see his counters sped up a little bit. Those are the things you don't see. When his first move doesn't work, or he gets stuck, he doesn't get to that counter as quickly as you'd like to see. I want to see more inside counters. He has the get off to speed up a tackle, to widen that B gap to the inside. I want to see that short area quickness from him to come back to the inside. But again, you see even right here in this play, he has two guys with eyes on him. So he's a guy who's always dealt with a lot of attention from offensive lines. I think that'll lessen in a place like Kansas City, where you already have Karlaftis, who again, he didn't play amazingly from a pass rush perspective last year. He closed out the season really well. You have Chris Jones. You added Charles Omenihu to that. All of those guys have proven sack production in the NFL, and Felix would come into that and be able to play off of them a little bit. So again, he's not he's not going to blow you away in any bend categories, but I do think his ability off the edge is a much more athletic than what the Chiefs currently have. Even Omenihu was a little bit slower into his pass rush moves, but when we talk about athleticism right here, this is a perfect example. He's off the ground. Both feet are off the ground. He's jumping past this offensive tackle with a little bit of slap to the side at the same time. So he's got more tools than most people probably expected from him. And there was I don't remember the exact quote, so I'll paraphrase. He's got more pass rush acumen than you expect from a guy of his caliber, and a guy of his how long he's been playing. So he has a natural feel, I think, for rushing the passer, and that shows up again in these three clips. That's why I wanted to show them, because he does win in different ways on all of them. This one, to be able to get around the edge, get that quarterback hit, and then he uses the ghost move in the TCU clip, and then over the last one into that really nice kind of Euro step with the swiping of the hands. So he's a very fun watch. He's a relentless effort player. Again, he's going to have to work on getting his hand usage inside the chest, and when it comes to the run defense, continuously using that extension to get back into setting the edge, and then finding the ball carrier, the football, whatever it may be. He does a good job of setting up his gaps. He's not the most gap disciplined, like I said, because he does have some tendency to jump inside gaps, which we've seen with Chris Jones to an extent too, where he runs himself out of a run fit because he likes to jump and try to get some penetration on the offensive line. But these three pass rush moves are really good. He's got a rip. He's got that widening up the arc. He has some ghost ability to him. I like to see him dip at the hips a little bit better with that. And then the Euro arm down, and then the corner to it right here, where he Euros, jumps down, and then stacks on that line and gets down the line really quickly to the quarterback. So really fun player. He's not going to be the most refined, obviously. You have a lot of things to work with him. But again, with the ability to put on weight, I think for his frame is good. He shouldn't lose any explosion if he puts on maybe 10 pounds, 255. Get to 265. You have, again, that strength from him already on tape. He has speed to power, which we have seen, and all of the things you're looking for with the frame, the size, and the ability off of the edge really complement, I think, what George Karlaftis does, which is more of that power defensive end. And you can have some of that speed to power here with Felix, and I really like what he would bring from a local perspective. He's from Kansas City, the Lee Summit area, went to high school in Lee Summit. Bringing him back to Kansas City is probably something that the Chiefs have talked about. So really fun player. I hope you guys enjoyed him as a prospect. I know a lot of you are Kansas State fans. We'll be looking out for this, and I appreciate the support watching him. Really fun prospect to get through. I know you guys have all watched him, his career at Kansas State, so that's much appreciated on that front. Getting to watch him at Lee Summit and out into the NFL next, because he could be the end of the first round for the Chiefs right there at 31. So I think that he is a good fit, even without the pure power that he has. He does have that good first step off the edge, which is a little bit different than Steve Spagnuolo typically wants on a defensive end. But I really like what he would bring to this team, and really rounds out the pass rush. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we're going to continue our draft content. Friday is when we're hoping the draft guide will drop, so keep tuned in for that. We'll have tons and tons of prospects for you guys, with myself, Ryan, and EJ getting your grades done. And again, Felix is one of the guys that I will have graded in the guide myself. You can see where I'll have him ranked and all of the really key metrics we're looking at, a little bit of an explanation of the games that I watched of him, and some keywords, so make sure you're looking out for that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your week. The draft is almost here. Let Felix take us out one more time with the sack here against Texas Tech. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.